Hello everyone, I'm Alan, also known as McLaren 2009, and today I'm back playing Derail Valley. Now, I'm picking up where I left off the last time that I streamed, almost a month ago, but a few more things have changed since then. Specifically, they've brought the Slug in. And I think it's somewhere over outside of the harbor, if I remember from the posting correctly. But we are currently down here in City Southwest, and that's not exactly where we need to be. So, we need to get from City Southwest back to the harbor, and this seems like the way to do it. So we're going to grab this. Doesn't pay all that well, but it's whatever. It is A3S. Let's put that right there. And let's grab this. That's in the wrong place, but it's whatever. Okay, so... Oh, it got dark. Alright, I need to get away from... Because if the little boundary box keeps appearing, it's going to get annoying. Alright, so when I said that a couple of things changed, I actually meant in real life. You see, as some of you may know, I work for the railroad. But the thing that changed is I'm no longer in training. Now I'm actually a licensed conductor. So I've been gone a lot lately because I was working a lot of local scheduled jobs as I was finishing up my training process. But now I am no longer in training. My off days will be kind of random. But what the hell happened here? Something happened. Okay, something weird happened. So yeah, now we gotta wait for that to load again. And we'll have to see if it crashed. But yes, to put it simply, I am no longer in training. Now I'm actually a conductor. And if I'm lucky, I'll be able to stream when I have rest days. Although, since I'm also on the extra board, in theory, I can also stream when I know I'm not going to be called for a while, like when I go to the bottom of the list. But since I'm currently on rest days, I am not at the bottom of the list. I'm actually at the top of the list, but I am not able to be called until tomorrow morning. So here we are. And since I'm not extremely tired today, I figure, I'll give it another shot. Let me turn on a fan. There, at least that won't go hot. Okay, you know what? We'll do it this way. We will exit that. Go back here. Alright. Okay, let's try opening up the game again and see if we can get in this time. Last time I think the game crashed or something. Okay. So yeah, if I'm lucky, I'll be able to stream a little bit more often, but it's not likely. Or at least it won't be consistent by any conceivable metric. I should have a few more opportunities to do it, but since I'm on call, I won't know exactly when I'm going to do it. Okay. Alright. Now, we just took this logistics job running from City Southwest to Oil Well Central. And for this, we have 3 engines. We have 2 DE6s and 1 DH4. We have the DH4 specifically so that we can maintain remote control capabilities. Okay. Okay. Have that one on. We don't need that on right now. I mean, we will, but we don't need it right now. We gotta find out A3S. More than likely, it's this one right here. Let's see. It's either 031 or 120. 031. Okay, these are the cars we need. So, we gotta go up here. Well, we gotta go onto the platform. Is we gotta get the door open. That still hasn't been fixed. Which is like the weirdest thing. Like, why is that a thing? But, as we already know, it's not the end of the world. Alright, we gotta get up on the platform for this one right here. It's so weird that the handbrake got put there instead of right here. Or outside of the conductor side door, because that's one of like 3 places the handbrake would be on an actual engine. It's either right here, right there, or outside of the conductor side door. It's never right here. That's where they put it on the cars, but it's never in that position on a locomotive. That is like the only handbrake position that I have a problem with in this game. Alright, cap light. Okay, now let's go outside. We need to get everything clear of that switch. So, let's go forward. We don't have any brakes applied because we're stupid. And we went, like, way too fast. Alright, now these are just empty cars, so it's not too bad. But that also means they won't have much weight to resist moving. Now, this right here would be what we would call close clearance. So definitely don't enter the building from this side. But the problem is, I should be in front of this mess so that I can actually see when it couples in. But I don't exactly make good decisions in this game. Let's be real. Alright, so the handbrake's tied on the other end, it would seem. Alright, so grab this. Okay. Yeah, see, the other end is where the handbrake's tied. If it were tied on this end, it wouldn't have moved as much. But since it's tied on the other end, the slack's going to come in, and then therefore the slack has to come back out. It's a whole thing. And it's raining, so we've got that to deal with, which is nice. Let's see. Now, this is the thing that I was just ranting about the last time that I was really active in the Discord server. I wish this valve was available from both sides. I'm cool with the handbrake wheel being on both sides. It works with how the game works. But the bleed rod, which is what this thing is, should be on both sides. Because in real life, this rod, there's a little connector piece that comes off of it. And it'll go either forward or backwards, whichever way is easier or there's more space. And you can pull the rod from either side to drain the car. So the fact that they put the brake wheel on both sides, but the bleed rod is only on one side, is kind of weird. Alright. So let's hang our EOT. Alright, let's check this. Now, in theory, what you would do in this situation, well, there's basically three things you can do. One, you can do what we call a Class 1 brake inspection, where you check every single brake. It's like every brake system on every car and every engine, and make sure that they set up, apply, and release. And you also have to verify that you have pressure on the back of the train. Then you can do the exact same thing, but without like a paper record saying that you've done it if you're going less than, say, 20 miles round trip. Or there's a third option where you do basically what I just did there by checking to make sure that there's airflow at the back of at the last car. And then you'll also ask the engineer to apply and release the brakes. And you'll verify that the last car applies and releases. And that is a Class 3 brake inspection. But since in Derail Valley I have this handy dandy little remote control, so that makes me both the conductor and the engineer. It turns out, in real life, the way that we do this is for the jobs that use a remote control, there's not just one, there's actually two. There's like the more senior person who's kind of like the foreman, who's in charge of the job, and then there's the junior person who works a lot of the switches. They both have a remote control box, and they go on either end of wherever they're moving, and whoever's closer to see the movement, to see the leading end of the move, is probably going to be the one in charge of the remote control for that movement. And they switch control between the two of them as needed to get the job done. Alright. Now, in theory, what I should have done would be sound the horn, say that I'm moving, but, as you already know, we're the only ones here. And really, I shouldn't be moving anyway, because I have to go up here, and there's a switch right here. That has to move. Alright. There's my tracks. Let me go over here. And we have this track, or this switch right here. And this one also has to move. Now, the thing is, by changing these switches, I have to change them back because of how I come into City Southwest. Like, normally I would prefer to go north to the machine factory, but that's not what we're doing on this trip. Now, we gotta wait for the last car to come out and clear this switch, so that we can line it back for the service track so that we can refuel next time we're here, and we absolutely will be here again in the future. So we need to make sure that that's in a position that we can use it. So as soon as this clears, we flip that. Now, we already went and lined all of our switches out of here. So now we just have to go behind our cars and line the switches back to what would be the normal position for the operations that I do. And we've been doing this long enough that the sun's already coming back out. It's kind of funny because the last couple of jobs I did were all late night jobs. Alright, so we gotta line this switch back to the inbound tracks. So, right there. And then, now that we're clear of this switch, we gotta line this back to straight. Because the best way into City Southwest is not actually to come in this way. You want to go out that way, past that switch over there, and then back up in to the inbound track. That way your engines are facing out, and you can go either way. So then the next switch we have to line back to a normal position is this switch right here. Because like I said, the best way into this area is to go past it and then shove back in. Because you don't want to go nose first into like anything, because that's a good way to basically paint yourself into a corner. And it's just going to be a bad time for like everyone involved. So now we can go hop up on the head end, and we can pull out of here. I completely forgot that you could go in water now. That would be slightly unsettling. But, as you can tell, I don't think I would want to walk across this bridge without handrails. Alright. Alright. We're good to go. Now, this specific job is not heavy enough to warrant using 3 engines, but the hope is that whatever I pick up in Oil Well Central that's going to the harbor, that should be heavier. Now, it's going to get interesting because when I get back to the harbor, I got to go to the shop and I got to get the, not the license, the keys for the Slug. So, let's close up. Now, it's going to get interesting because the Slug kind of changes some things. Basically, the Slug is a piece of rolling stock, like a piece of equipment, that it has traction motors but no engine. So it gets its electricity from a mother engine, which in real life it's a little bit more complicated, but in game the way that it works is basically any DE6 can be a mother engine for a Slug. Like, if we go back here, you'll see that there's an MU cable between the engines. Easy enough. Well, in real life, the MU cable is about like 4 times that size. Like, it's really thick, like round. And there are a lot more things inside of it. Now, for a mother engine that's built to be combined with a Slug, it will have a second MU cable. Like, the normal MU cable is usually like a red color. The the Slug cable will probably be blue. Which, pro tip, in real life, don't allow the train to just go off and do its own thing. Someone should always be in the cab or at the controls whenever an engine is moving. So definitely don't do what I just did in real life. Have that discussion on the ground when we're not moving. But that's actually kind of the cool thing about the fact that I keep streaming these games, because now, just like when I play American Truck Sim, or Euro Truck Sim for that matter, because one day my computer will be able to withstand... It's like one day my computer will be able to withstand streaming Euro Truck, which is currently set up on my computer to work in VR. Alright, B6S. Okay. I know exactly where that is. But, yeah, at one point my computer will be able to stream Euro Truck in VR without having any problems. But it is not right now. But the point that I'm trying to make is when I stream those games and this game, I can kind of tell you about like what I'm doing in the game and why it's different from what we do in real life. That goes off to the service track. And also the loading track, I think. Yeah, there's a switch right there that goes to the turntable and the refueling station, and then that one takes you to the loading track. Did I just... Oh boy. Okay, as a matter of fact, fully dump the train. Okay, now, let me update the count real quick, and then we'll explain why. Alright, now, this is legitimately my mistake. In fact, let's be blunt and let's just say this is legitimately my fuck up. Because normally, what I want to do is, whenever I leave an area, you line the switches back to a normal position. Now, what does a normal position mean? it means that any switch that goes to the main track is lined for the main, and any switch that's lined for a ladder is lined to go into the ladder. Now, normally, when I leave here, I'm supposed to line all of my switches back for the main. In this specific case, I did not do that. I left this switch lined into the ladder. Which, that's a bit of a problem, because that means that we were about to go slam headfirst into those cars. Which, as you can imagine, that would be what we would call a problem. Okay, let's get back out on the nose. Doesn't particularly matter with an engine because there's a guardrail here, but whenever you're up on like a platform like this, you want to stand outside of the edges of the track. Like, real tanker cars are set up exactly like that. So if you're standing up on that platform, all you've got are the rail behind you. So if you come to a stop, and you're not holding on tight enough, you're going to get thrown into the tracks and get run over. So you're going to get thrown into the tracks and potentially run over. It's going to be a bad time for everyone involved. So don't do that. Now, it doesn't matter as much on an engine like this because there's a rail facing outward. So that you just grab onto it and it holds you there. Easy day. But the thing is, engines are designed to be connected to other engines. Specifically, diesels like this are designed to be connected to other engines. So, the rail is on either side, and there's a chain between them because you can walk between engines. Derail Valley doesn't have it set up like that. But that's the way that it works in real life. So obviously you can't really hold on to the chain. It's a lot safer to hold on to the actual metal handrail. Okay, let's apply some train brake. Okay. Okay. Alright, now the thing that's going to make this interesting is we got to push this into that track which isn't necessarily a problem, but as with pretty much all logistics and shunting jobs, there are other cars on the track. So we gotta fit 7 cars between this sign, those cars, and that sign over there. Now, the good news is tankers are pretty short. So we might actually be able to get all 7 cars past this sign. Let's see. We've kind of got our improvised tape measure. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, we can almost get them all in there without any problems. In real life, tanker cars are generally pretty short. Like, they're not the shortest cars that are made, but they're pretty short. Like, we say, generally speaking, a car length is 50 feet. Well, most tanker cars are 50 feet. There are a couple of, like, super tankers that are, like, 80 or 90 feet long, but you don't see those very often. Or at least you don't see them as often at my terminal specifically. Okay, let's keep it going 6. Alright, let's go over here, and let's make sure that this handbrake and this one are both tied. Then we'll go to the end of this mess. And we'll release this handbrake. And then that one's already tied. And we're going to tie this one as well. Alright, and there's just 2 sets of cars. Okay, so now we go back over here. In a perfect world, you don't leave multiple cuts of cars separated on the tracks. You would couple them all together. And then stretch them out to make sure that they're coupled, and then you would test the handbrakes, however many you set for the entire train, and it'll vary with your specific division that you work in and all of that fun stuff. How many you tie, which end you tie them on. There's a whole process with it. Oh, that is gonna fucking break something. Okay. Now, in real life, you can shove through handbrakes. It's not a good idea. But it can be done. And perfect. Okay, tie this, tie this. Okay. Now we go over here, we turn in the job. Now, the way that it works in-game is a little different than how it works in real life. Like, there are times... Oh, well, clearly I didn't even try. There are times, like when you're doing like a local job where you're going to like a customer or an industry, you'll get like a work order that already tells you what track to put things on. But when you're going into like a yard, like what this is, more than likely what you're actually going to have is right when you get into the area, you're going to talk to the yard master, who's basically like a supervisor, not a manager, but they're in charge of where all of the cars, engines, trains, where everything is on the tracks in their yard. So, like, we would stop just outside of station limits and we would call the yard master on the radio and ask, where do you want the cars? And then they'd be like, okay, come down this track and put them into this track over here. And that's just part of how this works. Yeah. So, a yard master would tell us around the time that we get here where he wants us. Alright, now we need something preferably going to the harbor. We have a lot of things going to the harbor. Considering I've got 3 engines, I actually can take all 3 of these. And we'll just take 2 of them. One. This is B4. Nope. And B1. Okay, so since this one's already on the side that we're on, we're going to get this one first. And then this one is going to go right... No, put that right there. Okay. Okay, throttle up, kick off the independent. Alright, so that's B5, B4. So it's not this track. It's this track. Alright, throttle up. And throttle down. Yeah, definitely stand right next to the engine like that. There's no way that's gonna backfire or get you killed in any way. Okay. Set the independent, and let's couple in. Alright, we'll tie the air, and we'll be straight. Alright. Now, in real life, what you do is you wait until the air is fully charged to knock off the handbrakes, and that makes sure that the engine is in control of the train, so your cars aren't going to run away on you. Because if you knock off the handbrakes before the brake pipe is charged, whether you're coupled in or not, the cars are potentially going to run away on you. They might even take the engine with them, and there's literally nothing you can do to stop it. They're either going to get to the bottom of the hill and stop naturally, they're going to hit something, or they're going to derail. But that's literally the only thing that's going to stop it. Until your air brakes are charged, there's pretty much nothing you can do. You don't have brakes until it's charged. Now, this is a pretty big cut of cars. Like me personally, if I had a say in the way the yards worked in the game, I would set it so that it doesn't pick a random track, or it doesn't pick a random end of a cut of cars to tie handbrakes. It only ties them on... It's like it'll tie them specifically on whatever end is closest to the office. Okay, let's get up here. Because I think the way the game's set up now, it just has it so that it essentially picks an end and it ties one handbrake per cut of cars. But that's not quite how it works. I would actually tell it, if it were possible, I would say to tie the handbrake on the end closest to the office. Because that's kind of like what we do in real life. Because when we leave it up to like random chance, like how the game does it now, it always ends up or for at least with my luck, it always ends up being in like the worst or like the dumbest position possible. That's just not cool. Alright, so that's 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So 2 is the main line. Now, this is an extremely heavy load. Or not extremely heavy, but this is pretty heavy. Alright, we need remote control. That's the main line, and that's B1. Which in theory means that that is the third load that's going out. But we've barely used any fuel getting from City Southwest to Oil Well Central, so we don't even need to refuel yet. We'll refuel when we get back to the harbor. In theory, we could stop and check in the farm to see if anything's going to the harbor, but I don't think there will be. Alright, now we're going to line this back for the ladder after we get past it. I didn't actually realize that radio-controlled switches are actually a thing in real life. Yeah, see? 3-0. I would ask where are the inbound tracks, but then nothing goes to the oil well. Alright, now we gotta do the intelligent thing. No. We gotta do the intelligent thing, and once we leave here, we gotta line the switches back for the main, so we don't have what we had coming in here. Which, leaving switches lined back into a siding like that is exactly how you slam into another train. Also, disobeying restricting speed. And there's a few other ways you can do it, but for the most part, leaving switches lined for the wrong position is how you cause disasters. Okay. Alright, now let's get to the bottom, or get to the end of this. Hang our marker. In theory, we can also knock off the handbrake that's applied down here. EOT lantern. This is a rather lengthy train. Although it's just long by Derail Valley standards. This is barely even a local train by real standards. E9. And C2. Alright, so we're gonna have to get pretty creative with how we do this. Probably the best thing. Alright, normally I would try to turn around in the C track. Yeah, it's like normally I would turn around in the C track. But I might not be able to pull that off. Okay. Alright, let's write up on this. We're actually going to do this intelligently this time because we went the wrong way last time. So we get to the other end of the inbound or the outbound track. Align the switch back for 2, which is the main. And all should be right in the world. So the thing is, we got to figure out the best way to get these cars positioned. I think since these have to go to the E track, and the front cars have to go to the C track. What's probably going to be the move is going to be to break these off and set them on the main. Like, set these on the main. Pull the inbound cars past the C switch. Like, put the inbound cars past the C switch. Shove back into C2. Okay, so shove the lead cars back into C2. Pull out. Couple back into the cars going to the E track. Shove them back onto the C loading track to spin them around. Pull forward out the other way. So we spin them around at the Y and then shove them back into the E track. That seems like how I'm going to do it. Because there's not enough space to pull all of them into the C track, so we're going to break it into two pieces and shove it in that way. Alright, now we're already clear of the farm. So the next area we got to worry about is carrying enough speed around the curve south of the steel mill. So, right across this bridge. Now, it has 50, or, yeah, I think it's only 50. speed restriction, but it's also the steepest hill in the game. Or if it's not the steepest, it's like the second steepest. And we got a lot of way to get up this hill. Alright, as long as we stay above 30, we should be fine. Alright, head of the train is through the turn. The problem is, we need to get more than half the cars past the middle of that curve. Otherwise, we're going to stall and have to do it again. Alright, our speed's staying sort of constant-ish. It's still uphill, but it's not as bad. It's a little more shallow. Now, you gotta be careful when running different engines, like I have the two DE6s and the DH4. The DH4 has about half the capacity of the DE6. So if you have to go up to full throttle, you run the risk of burning out the DH4. So like even this throttle position, it's probably safe, but I gotta be careful. Because you don't mix like vastly different types of engines. Like generally when you connect multiple units together, they should all have similar capabilities. Now, what's going to be interesting is when I get the Slug. Where do I put it? Because I know they have it set up so that the Slug can only work with one DE6. So it's whichever one it's coupled to first is the one that it's going to work with. So what I'm thinking is, since the DH4 is already facing forward, I'm probably going to put the Slug behind the DH4. That's going to reduce the load on the second D6. Or it's going to increase the load on the engine, but it's going to decrease the load on the traction motors, because the same electricity is being sent to 12 traction motors instead of 6. Alright, we are almost to the downhill portion. And then we're going to switch to dynamic. 60 kilometers an hour is not bad. Alright, so far we've used about 1/8 of the fuel, 1/8 of the oil. Alright, we're doing good. 60 is probably good for this area. The sign says 120, but we're not doing 120. The interesting thing about the railroad, we are not in a hurry to do anything. If you start walking too fast, it's a problem. You're in too much of a hurry. We're getting paid by the hour. Might as well do it right. Alright, now, in real life, on the control stand, there's like a little yellow sticker that says wait 8 to 10 seconds with the throttle and idle before applying the dynamic brake. The reason for that is older units like this, quickly switching between throttle and dynamic can break the traction motors. I don't know exactly how it breaks it, but I just know that it breaks it. New engines have a feature built into the computer that controls it that prevents damage, so you can just instantly switch and the computer will just automatically wait to apply power. But they still have the stickers saying don't do it. Alright, now around this turn, we're going to get over to a Y right around this corner. And after we pass that Y, it's pretty much all downhill from there. So we're going to switch to dynamic. It's been a bit more than 10 seconds, so we can definitely do it without causing problems. In fact, I don't even know if they've put that specific thing into the game. So, going right. and as you can see by that blue and red sign, it's pretty much all downhill the rest of the way back to the harbor. Now, me personally, I prefer to stay between 35 and 40 kilometers per hour, regardless of what the speed limit signs say, because there are too many areas that go down to 40 that it basically just starts getting out of hand quick. Now, the reason that I have a DH4 instead of a DE2 as my remote unit is because the DH4 has a dynamic brake. I think it only has 2 positions in the DH4, but it still has one. Now, it's interesting because on a real control stand, these are reversed. Like, the dynamic is up here, the throttle's down here. Alright, now, in a perfect world, the dynamic brake actually can stop the train, but you only have dynamic brakes on running engines. So if you only have, say, one engine doing a job like this, your dynamic brake isn't going to be that helpful. In my case, I have 3 engines, all with dynamic brakes activated. So we should be able to very effectively control the speed of this engine. And as long as we keep it under 40, we should be straight. The place that it starts getting a little bit dicey is that last turn just before you get into the harbor on the west end. So we might not even need to take it off of this dynamic setting for like most of the rest of the trip. It might need to change a little bit when we get to that last turn, but we're not there yet. So let's look at our wallet. We have about 200 grand. We'll definitely have 200 grand when we get this positioned. But the thing is, I need like 700 grand for the last 2 licenses. I need Mill 3 and Hazmat 3. And then I will have completed the game a second time. But this stream cannot end until we get the Slug. So, after we shove back and we put the cars onto the E-track, we're gonna break off the front 2 engines and we're going to shove them up the mountain to get the Slug. Alright, we got a we gotta go to the next level of dynamic. Do we have to go into full dynamic? Well, this is the part where it starts getting a little bit crazy. But as long as the dynamic keeps it under 40, we should be safe-ish. Because I think 40's the lowest it goes. It's kind of funny the way that like hills work. Now that's gonna sound like a weird statement, but allow me to explain. Like before I started working for the railroad, I drove trucks. And going uphill is easy. It's gonna be slow and painful, but going uphill is easy. There are very few ways you can get killed going uphill. However, there are lots of ways to get killed going downhill. Going downhill is scary. Now, it's interesting because going downhill in a truck, it's not a problem unless it's not a problem unless it's like more than say 6% grade. What the fuck happened here? Okay. Alright, now we gotta hop off right here. Actually, we need to be back here. We are going way too fast. Yep, it's this one right here. See, we're too close. We gotta shove back because we need to get this car at least 4 car lengths clear of the switch. And the reason is we're going to shove back into this area to pick these cars up. So we gotta tie these down right here. So, yeah, that's those ones. Now, these cars have to go into C2I. Now, that puts all of those cars from here back into emergency. Now, we go over here, and we check to see how far back it goes. It's not even out of the Y in front of the military base, so it's still on flat land. Or it's still on flat ground. Alright, now we gotta go over here. And we gotta line this switch to come in from this way. And for right now, this switch has to be lined for the inbound track. We gotta slow down a little bit. Because we gotta go to this switch right here. That switch goes to D and G, that switch goes to F, and then this switch goes to the E track. But, as you can see, we're already flying. And the light is freaking out. The sun is having a fit as it's going down. All right. Now, if we can get a slightly bigger payout for these jobs, like say we get the time bonus, hypothetically, we probably didn't, but the option is there. If we can get the time bonus for these jobs, then we're doing great. Now, there are two ways I can do this. Well, there's at least two ways I can do this. What I'm currently planning on doing is I'm going to shove these back into the inbound track. And then I'm going to pull straight out and couple back into those. Then I'm going to pull them past this switch and shove them back into the loading track so that I can go out that switch. And then shove them all back into E9. But another way that I could do it is I could shove these in Oh wait, no, I didn't even understand my own method. What I'm actually gonna do is the reason I had to have those cars clear of the switch, or I had to have the other cut clear of the switch, is because I'm gonna line this switch and I'm gonna go out that way. And it's still gonna be messed up. I'm gonna go out that way, couple into those cars, pull them into here, and then shove them out that way, clear of the switch. Or shove them out that way to the E track. What the hell is that? My engine it secretly wants to be an electric, and it's trying to find the catenary, but there isn't one. So it's a little bit confused, but it's got the spirit. Okay. Alright, make sure we are in no danger of going over the end. And we're not fouling the switch on this end. Or at least an engine passed the sign, so we're good. Let's tie a brake. Tie another brake. The game only needs you to tie one brake, but I tie at least two. Because that's what our rule is with the company that I work for. Oh, it was the MU cable. Alright, close the engine. Alright, clearly I gotta clean my controllers again. Leave those open. Okay. Now we gotta go back over here and line this switch. But what we should do, since we're kind of on the clock, and there's a slim chance we might actually get the time bonus. It's not likely, but there's a chance we might be able to pull it off. Oh yeah. We got 100 grand for that. Okay, so we're going to have a slight change of plans. We're going to have to break the... We're going to have to take off the last engine. Yeah, we're gonna have to break off the last engine. Or maybe we could just not even bother turning it around. Okay, this is gonna be a mess. Because I need it facing this way. Okay. Like, if I... Because I could just, like... I could just pull this through. And put this engine onto a different track. And then line everything else back up for the main. Okay, yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. Or, even better. Alright, we're gonna take this engine and we're gonna shove it down to the E track, or not the E track, the F track with the caboose. So we're gonna shove the caboose a little bit. It's like, okay. We're gonna put that engine on the F track with the caboose. Like, okay, we put that on the F track with the caboose. And that's all taken care of. These are loaded cars, by the way, so it would be stupid to do this without air. The problem, or the reason that it's taking so long right now, is because the air brakes haven't fully charged. Actually, no, the reason it's taking so long is because I was stupid and forgot to take off the handbrakes. I actually secured the train, and I almost did a proper C-102. So we once again have to update the count, because I am an idiot. Oh, and actually, while we're on that subject, let's go over here and let's grab a screenshot. Because what is going through all of this trouble of actually streaming for the first time in almost a month if I don't transfer it to YouTube? Okay, that one's off. And that one's off. Did I apply more by mistake? No, the problem was I closed the ankle cock. And the cars hadn't had enough time to bleed off yet. Which means I have two options. I could have either manually bled each car, or properly connected the air and recharged the tanks. Which actually means hit the count once again. Such is life when you do stupid things like close the angle cock that you intentionally left open. Why did we intentionally leave it open, you might be wondering? Easy, because we don't bottle air. No matter how tempting that might be. Alright, but we gotta be careful. Because the handbrake is applied on the caboose. So we're going to have to shove through the caboose a little bit. Now, ideally, I should just shove the caboose to the other side of this crossing. Alright. Yeah, in a perfect world, we want to get this caboose clear of the crossing. I mean, we want them both clear of the crossing, but that's just not happening right now. And we're kind of lazy, so we're just going to get the caboose clear of the crossing. Alright, now we dump all the air out of the engine. And we got to get that clear of this over here. We got to be clear of this switch with all of the engines. That might be a little excessive with the brakes, but it's whatever. Alright, now we're stopping that in the middle of the crossing, which is a bad idea. Okay. I went through a puddle into fucking Narnia. Six, 7, 8. This works. It's like, yeah, I went through a portal and ended up in a different dimension. It was wonderful. Alright, now we gotta get the last car. Okay, that's 10. Okay, we're good. Okay, now this is the shorter of the two trains. So in theory, this one should be fine. Okay, now let's go to the station office and hope we don't go to hell or a pocket dimension. Whatever the kids are into. Just barely, but we made it. Another $100,000. Alright, now, the thing is... we gotta go to... There's the caboose, so this is going to the F track. We gotta go right here. Is it right here, or is it the other side? You see, the shop is somewhere in front of the passenger terminal. There it is. Oh, at least they fixed this. Sort of. Alright, now we gotta go... We need this lined back for the main. We would have had a bad time if there was anything else on this track. All right. Now we're lined off of the siding and onto the main. Now, in theory, once we go up the mountain to go get the, once we go up to get the caboose, not the caboose, the slug, it just occurred to me that this isn't going to work. We're going to have this shit in all the wrong order. Because there's not another Y over here. It's just going to go out this way. And right now, that's lined into the F track, which it shouldn't be. And then this is lined into the G track, which it shouldn't be. So we're going to have to tie down the other DE6, like right here. Yeah, we're going to have to tie down the DE6 right here. Oh, this is all screwed up. Okay. You know what? No, let's leave that. Turn this off. Let's just go unlock the slug, and then we'll spawn it somewhere. It's like 10 grand to spawn the thing, so we're just gonna do that. Where is my lantern? Okay, so this is all kinds of screwed up. So what we're going to do is we're going to dash back down there to save ourselves some time. My lantern is in Lost and Found somewhere. Because I've got this feeling that I left it in the shop. Oh, and I got this handbrake applied. Now, I don't know how the MU system is going to work with this. It's still the same job. That's pretty cool. And it is 3:30 in the afternoon. Doing this for a little over 2 hours. And I even had some technical difficulties at the beginning of my stream, so we're not doing bad today. Now we get MU'd to this. And MU'd to that. But we're going to do the MU connection to this first, because I've heard that the Slug only works with the first DE6 that it's MU'd to. How much does the Slug weigh currently? 125,000 kilograms. That's 80. So it's exactly the same as the DE6. Which kinda makes sense, because what a Slug is, basically this is just the shell for a DE6, but it's filled with concrete. Well, apparently the Slug's indestructible, so I shouldn't worry about it too much. But the thing is, the DE6 is not indestructible. Oh, and the Slug's shorter, too. Oh, yeah. Okay. Okay, I need to be on this switch right here. Now I have a weird engine consist. DE6, DH4, Slug, DE6. The funny thing is, at the terminal that I work at in real life, the Slug would be the remote controlled unit. Like the Slugs we have, all have cabs. And they have the hardware for remote control built in. So me personally, I would have liked to have seen the ability to pair the remote with the Slug, since there can only be one Slug in the game. Well, outside of creative mode. Because you generally only use a Slug for yard operations anyway. There are road Slugs, but for the most part, you just use them in the yard. So to me, it made sense. Or to me, it would make sense if the Slug could be remote controlled. What the fuck? Okay, that was just the wrong switch. I need this switch. We literally lined that switch to run through it. Now, luckily, in Derail Valley, you can't run switches. They just spring over to the other position. But in real life, unless it's a switch specifically designed to do that, you will destroy it if you run through it. So generally, running through a switch is considered to be a very bad thing. Why is that there? It's also interesting that the DE6 has 4 fuel tanks. Like, why? There's a port there, one tank, two tank, and there's two ports on the other side. So it has 4 fuel tanks. It should only have 1 fuel tank that can be filled from either side. Okay. Cut off. Secure. Okay, I'm guessing we messed up something. Okay. Okay, somehow the starter button ended up in the on position. Or it ended up being locked in the on position. Which is kind of an odd thing to have happen, but it is something that can happen in real life, which it would be kind of fitting that this would be in the roundhouse. Except the Slug does have an electric powertrain. It's just apparently indestructible. And about 30 grand for 3 units. Or for 3 whole units. Alright, so let's go pay some fees and see where we stand. Can we get one of the licenses? Ooh, I can. All right, we got Hazmat 3. So, we got Hazmat 3 and about $45,000 in the bank. So, we need another 400,000. So, it's going to be a minute. But we got to go in here and we got to get our lantern. Okay. So, it's been about 2.5 hours. That's probably good for my first stream being back for a little while. Alright. So, as a bit of a recap of what we've managed to accomplish today. We started off out in City Southwest, where we were able to get a logistics haul running to Oil Well Central. From Oil Well Central, we were able to get not one, but 2 pretty good, tanker freight loads going from Oil Well Central back to the harbor. Our original goal was to set out and get back to the harbor, so we accomplished that. We got everything put away, shuffled around some engines, got a little bit creative with some placement, went to the shop, got the key for Steve's garage, unlocked the DE6 Slug. Then we walked all the way up there to the garage to go get it, spawned it down here where we could use it, refueled our engines, and we even got the Hazmat 3 license. So there is only one license left to get, and that's Military 3. So, next time that I stream, and I have no way of knowing when that's going to be, because now I'm actually on call on the extra board as a conductor in real life, so my streaming schedule is going to be a little bit weird, as is my real life work schedule. But we're now back in the harbor. We have 21 out of 22 licenses on this save. And we're back in the place where we can get just about any job to go anywhere. But that seems like as good of a stopping place as any. So this has been Derail Valley. Let me save real quick. Okay. So yes, this has been Derail Valley. Thank you all for watching, and hopefully you have a nice day. With any luck, I should be able to stream again in a couple of days. If not, it'll be in another week when I have rest days again. But yeah, thanks for watching.